Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all about my best and worst luxury purchases over the past year or so. This is obviously very delayed for a 2022 roundup, so I'm also including the first couple of months of this year just for the sake of being as relevant and recent as possible. So these are the purchases which have really just delighted me and I feel like have been such great luxury buys, as well as the items which really haven't worked out for me for one reason or another. So I hope you guys enjoy this and let's get started. So first up, I had to include a bag which has actually been my most used bag style since having the baby, and that is the Louis Vuitton Empreinte Speedy, and I've just been loving this so much. I will say that I don't think it's without flaw, and it's actually disappointed me in one specific way, but despite that, I just can't seem to get enough of this bag. Like, I really love how easy it is to grab and go, and the fact that it is a very fancy, luxurious bag, but it doesn't feel so flashy despite the fact that it has massive LV logos everywhere. But because of the neutral colorway, it feels neutral enough I can wear it pretty much anywhere. So I take this to doctor's appointments, I go shopping with it, you know, it really is a nice all-rounder. And I like the fact that it can be dressed up or down. I feel like it works very well with casual outfits, but if I want to dress it up as part of an evening outfit, I do think it works really well as well. And I love the fact that even though it's not the lightest of bags, you are getting a lot of really lovely leather. I absolutely love Empreinte leather, I can never get enough of it. But because of the multiple ways to wear it, it's actually a very nice bag to carry without really thinking about it too much. When I'm grabbing it in a hurry, I just grab it by the top handle. If I want to be hands-free, I really like it on the shoulder. I don't tend to wear this crossbody just because I feel like it's a little bit bulky to do so, but if you're comfortable with the kind of volume of it, you can definitely do that as well. The zipper is very, very smooth, and I like the fact that because it does go down a little bit, the opening is quite wide, so it's actually quite easy to find your items inside. The inside of this bag is horrendously messy because it is genuinely my day-to-day bag at the moment, so as you see that, it's just receipts and reusable bags and all the kind of stuff that people bring with them on a daily basis, I guess, but it definitely fits in everything that I need and more. You know, if anything, I find that I actually have to do clear outs because it just accumulates stuff. So despite the fact that it is a mini bag, I do actually really like the fact that it can fit so much in, and it's just a really nice everyday size. So my big kind of bugbear with it has actually been the wear and tear, which has disappointed me a little bit, and it's nothing terrible, but I have used this every day, so I would keep that in mind. Like, it has been very, very heavily used, but despite that, I do feel like I still have taken care of it. I've also had a bag liner in the entire time, so I don't think I've ever used this without the bag liner. The one I have matches the interior perfectly, which I really, really love, but I would have thought that the liner would do a lot in terms of keeping the structure and the shape. I do feel like it is, I wouldn't say collapsing because I feel like that's quite a severe word, but it definitely is softening at the edges, which I guess I would kind of expect with this bag, but I didn't think it would be as noticeable with a bag liner, which fits very, very snugly. And I haven't had this that long, I forget how many months, but I'd say it's been in heavy rotation for about 3 months, and I just kind of thought it would look a little bit better than it does, considering it isn't a particularly old bag, despite the fact that it has seen quite a bit of use. So that's my one niggle. I do wish that it wasn't kind of going in at the side so much. That said, I do still absolutely love it. I haven't been changing out of it all that often, and I think it's a beautiful style. So if that's going to bother you, then I would maybe kind of stay away, but if that doesn't bother you and you are happy to use a bag liner with it, I have been very, very happy with mine. I just think it's absolutely beautiful, and yeah, it's in very, very heavy rotation at the moment. Next up is my Chloe Mini Marcy, and this one hasn't gotten as much use recently just because I do feel like it's a little bit more of a summer style, but thinking back to last summer, and this was one of my most used bags, and I just absolutely love it. I'm really, really excited to start using it again now that the weather is hopefully getting a little bit warmer. I say this after a massive snowstorm, but the signs are there that spring is coming, and I'm just very, very excited for it. But this bag was just such a delight to use, and this for me really just kind of brings home the point that a bag can be great, but if you get it in the wrong color, then it can really ruin the style for you. I do also have it in the brown color, and whilst I like the style, I didn't really get as much use as I wanted out of it. I ended up getting this one, and and I just used this constantly last summer because I found it so easy to pair and I just love the shade. I think it's such a beautiful pop of colour. I believe they brought a very similar shade of blue out this year, so obviously it was a popular colourway. And it's just a really, really lovely style. I tended to team it with kind of little mini dresses, little sundresses, often in that kind of blue and white colour family, really playing off the beautiful shade. But it was just such an easy style and really felt right for summer or kind of warmer weather in general. If you're not familiar with the style, obviously it's nothing new, but it's a really simple one. You just open it up, you can fasten it, but to be honest, I never do. Just a wide open space with that pocket in the front there. And it really is a very easy bag to carry. It's very lightweight, despite the fact that it is full leather, mainly because it is lined in fabric. So it does lighten the bag up considerably, but that's kind of what I want for a summer bag. You know, I don't want anything too heavy that's going to weigh me down. This is just right. You do have the adjustable strap as well. I just thought this was fantastic. So if you've been on the fence, I have really been loving mine. I do think it's a classic style. As I said, it's certainly nothing new, but considering that it has been around for so long, I feel like it's aged beautifully. I don't feel like it looks, you know, out of date or anything like that. I do think it is just a very classic quintessential style from Chloe, and it is just kind of French elegance in a bag, like so easy, so simple, but just really fun and beautiful to wear. Next up is the Dior Book Tote, and this is a bag which has really pleasantly surprised me, and I'm very aware it's a kind of love it or hate it style. I know a lot of people adore it, a lot of people hate it, and I did think it was either something which I was going to adore or really not get along with at all. Fortunately, I have really been enjoying it. I would say that I think the big difference here has been the fact that I no longer travel by public transport. If I still lived in London and was mainly traveling by the tube, I would say that I don't think I would get along with it quite so well, just because it's not a really seamless bag to carry if you're filling it full of stuff. It doesn't sit super easily on the shoulder. Like, you can wear it on the shoulder, but it isn't a really comfortable fit like the Neverfull, and I just don't think I would get along with it nearly as well. Versus now I travel mostly by car, so obviously it just rides in the car with you, and that has made all the difference for me. So with that in mind, I have really been enjoying it. I love the fact that it does make such a statement. Like, I think the print is just beyond beautiful. The detailing on it is so stunning. I love the fact that you have that kind of pattern following through to the base, but you have like that still blank bit right there in the middle. Like, I just think it's done very well. On the back you have the beautiful embroidered print as well. And it really is just kind of a work of art in a tote bag. Like, it is so stunning. I do have a bag liner in here as well, which I do like. It is quite a large bag liner because it is a huge bag, but it's done really well in terms of popping the sides out. Otherwise, they do have the tendency to collapse in a little bit. And I've actually been using this bag quite a lot, and I wouldn't really say as a baby bag because it hasn't been a baby bag at all. Like, we have separate bags for that. But if I don't want to carry a baby bag, but I still want to be prepared and have all the stuff, then I do just, you know, toss a bunch of nappies in. I have wet wipes in here all the time and like a muslin cloth, and it does just great because it can also fit in all of my own belongings as well. So I just love the fact that it is so huge, but it still feels super chic and kind of relaxed in a way as well, because it does have that travel tote feel to it, but at the same time it just feels so fancy and beautiful. So I have been loving it. It really has been great. As I said, I don't feel like this would be one as like a workhorse bag in London, but for me now, I just find the massive capacity so useful. I don't mind the fact that it's not kind of super easy to sling on my shoulder and go, because I don't really need that traveling by car so much. And for what I need, it's just been really lovely and a really beautiful kind of luxe statement bag, which is also very functional as well. So for me, it's been wonderful. I would recommend it, but with those caveats that you kind of have to think about your lifestyle and how you're planning on using it. But yeah, it's definitely been a very pleasant surprise. So from very luxe to still luxe, but a little bit more accessible in terms of price point, the Coach Mini Tabby. This has been another huge surprise for me, and I say surprises, obviously I like these bags enough to buy them in the first place, but some styles just really take you by surprise in terms of how much you grow to love them, and in particular styles which you like enough to buy, but then the more you use them, the more you love them, and I very much think that's the case with this little cutie. I think it's adorable. This one comes in a couple of different sizes, so the next size up is more of a kind of, I guess, like evening shoulder bag, which can also work as a day bag, whereas this is very much a mini crossbody. Like, it is very small, as you can see. I love the fact that it does come with a kind of long crossbody strap, which is how I wear it most of the time, but you do also have a shorter little strap as well, which you can wear if you wanted to try and fit it on your shoulder, or otherwise just hand hold it. The inside capacity is quite small, so you definitely can't fit a lot in here. I definitely wish that they had ditched the inside divider, just because I think it limits the space when you're already not working with a ton of space to begin with. And that said, you know, I can definitely fit in my essentials. I have my phone in here. I usually have a little card holder, a lip balm, that sort of thing, and my keys, and maybe some sunglasses, depending on how slim my card holder is. So definitely not huge, but if you are someone who's fairly minimal with their belongings, then you could definitely make this work. And I just think the style is really adorable. Like, they've nailed the kind of puffy leather element, I think. You have that little Coach luggage tag right there as well. And I just think this is the cutest thing, and it's a really nice way of doing the puffer bag trend all the way throughout the year. I was wearing this a ton during the summer. I didn't feel like it felt inappropriate or kind of wrong seasonally, which sometimes the puffy styles can do. And I just think it's beautiful, like really, really lovely quality. The leather is absolutely gorgeous. Like, it feels very, very soft. And it's just a fantastic style, especially if you did want to do the puffer bag trend. You didn't want to spend thousands like you do now have to on Saint Laurent or Chanel. It's just a really nice way of doing the trend while still being super cute. I love the style, but without breaking the bank completely. And speaking of puffer bags, I did also have to include my Saint Laurent Lulu puffer, and to be honest, last year was a little bit of a blur, so I'm not 100% sure I did get this last year, but it's certainly the year that I used it the most, and I just adore this bag. Like, it is so great. It has become by far my favorite puffer style. Everything from the size to the comfort to the overall look, it just kind of ticks all the boxes for me. I love this colorway. I think the gold hardware complements the nude color just perfectly. Really, really elegant. The shoulder straps, I'd say I was expecting them to bend a lot more than they have done, and this bag has seen pretty heavy wear, but they're weirdly still like very straight and rigid, and I don't really understand how that's the case. That said, it's not a problem. It's just something to keep in mind that they don't have that kind of curved shape that would fit really naturally on the shoulder. Despite that though, I don't feel like it does slip off, so that would be my main concern in terms of not having the rounded shoulder straps. In terms of capacity, it's actually very decent, despite the fact that I don't feel like it looks like an overly large bag. It can actually fit in all my essentials and then some. I generally use a long Empreinte wallet from Louis Vuitton as my everyday wallet. It's pretty big and it fits in no problems. I can fit in, you know, my phone, sunglasses, a bottle of water if I need to, and it does just fine. And because it isn't a particularly heavy style, it never feels uncomfortable to wear either, which is always a big thing for me. You know, if a bag is really uncomfortable, I'm just not gonna wanna wear it. But this always remains comfortable whilst being very functional, very beautiful to look at as well. And it's pretty much as close to a perfect bag as I can think of for me at the moment. So I absolutely love it. My love for it has not waned since I got it. If anything, it's grown. I just love wearing this so much. I think it works beautifully for both summer and winter and everything in between as well. Like, I do think it's a seasonless style, and even though it's definitely seen a lot of price increases recently, I do think that this one is worth it, and I've just been enjoying mine so much. And then last but not least, for my best purchases over the past year, and it is my Gucci Dionysus. And again, you're gonna have to forgive me because I'm not entirely sure I did buy this in 2022. I either did or it was just before, but last year was such a blur for me. But again, much like the Saint Laurent puffer, this is a style that I just used so much last year, and it was such a great buy. And I got really, really into my white bags. If you watched a lot of my videos, you will definitely know that, because pretty much every bag that I showed was very pale on white in color. I just really discovered it as a fantastic neutral that previously I was a little bit scared of in terms of how pale it was, but after getting my first one and realizing how useful it was, it just kind of kept going, and I just become obsessed with white bags basically, and this really embodies that. I do have the brown version, and much like the Chloe Mini Marcy, I did not get much use out of that one, whereas the change in colour has been such a game changer for me in this style, and it's just been the best buy. This is a style I took with me when I went to the US, and it isn't really a style I would traditionally consider to be like a great travel bag. It is quite heavy and it's quite a substantial style. Despite that, I love the fact that I took it. You know, I really wanted to bring a bag which just felt really fancy and really elegant for, you know, either dinners out or every day. And this was perfect, and the detailing on it is beautiful, and I do think that this is one of those bags where when you see it in person it's even more beautiful, because you can really appreciate the detailing on the clasp. It has a beautiful kind of sparkle effect, and it is just a very, very well made bag indeed. You can't fit that much in it due to the fact that it does have dividers, but even so, because it does have a decent amount of width, I can certainly fit in everything that I need to. I wouldn't usually use a long wallet with this. Usually speaking, I would just use a little card holder so I can fit in all my other essentials very easily, you know, like a phone, sunglasses, that sort of thing. But I definitely make it work. Again though, it is quite a heavy style, and that's mainly due to the fact that one, it is all leather obviously, but the hardware is very, very substantial. So if you are very susceptible to heavy bags and really feel that weight, I definitely wouldn't recommend this for you, because you do feel the weight. Certainly, like anytime I would give my bag to my mum to carry, she'd be like, oh my god, what is in your handbag? I'm like, not really much, it's just literally a very heavy bag. But I don't tend to mind weight in shoulder bags so much, and I just love the style so much that I make it work. So definitely not a perfect bag by any means, but it has been a great buy for me. I love wearing it and using it, and I just think it's such a beautiful style that I really don't get tired of, and it is just such an elegant one which I just love to bits. And now for my worst purchases over the past year, and first up here is my Chanel Melody bag. I have spoken before about how this has been a little bit of a disappointment, so I'm not going to go on about it too much, but essentially my bugbears with it are the structure and the fact that I don't feel like it was particularly good value for money. So I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it definitely curves in at the back. It's a pretty soft bag, and in general I just feel like it lacks the kind of structure and solid nature of a bag that I would expect to be at this price point. You know, this was over £3,000, and it's obviously a lot cheaper than Chanel's classic flaps, but it is still more expensive than the vast majority of other luxury bags out there. And it doesn't really feel like the quality is up to scratch. It does have a kind of coating on it which feels almost plasticky, which on the one hand, it is very easy to maintain, like it is kind of wipe clean, but on the other hand, that combined with a lack of structure, I do feel like it maybe makes it feel a little bit cheaper than I would otherwise prefer it to be, again, especially at this price point. And I think if it was more around, you know, the £1,500 mark, just under 2,000, I would feel a bit differently, but over 3,000, you know, that is so expensive, it's so much money. And if it wasn't the fact that it was from Chanel, like I just don't really think that many people would think this is worth it. It is from Chanel obviously, which does make it slightly different, but I really don't feel like brands should skate by in terms of quality just relying on their name. Like I do think the work has to be put in terms of the craftsmanship and overall design of the bag. I don't really feel like this has been the case with this one. It is fairly functional in terms of the fact that, you know, it's a very easy bag to wear in terms of the crossbody style. On the inside, you know, it's a nice wide open space, so you can fit a decent amount inside, but it just doesn't have that kind of special feel that the classic flaps do. And to be honest, even though it is a lot cheaper than their classic flaps, I wouldn't really be able to recommend this as an alternative to their classic flaps. Like, I think you would just be better off buying something, you know, pre-loved, saving up, albeit the prices now are absolutely insane. And I do have a video coming up about the best alternatives to Chanel classic flaps at the moment, but I don't think that this is one of those. So bit disappointing. I don't think it's worth the money, and for me this doesn't really speak of like a quintessential Chanel bag. I just think the quality is a little bit disappointing. Next up is one from Louis Vuitton, and I got this at the beginning of last year and I really wanted to make it work, but I did not get along with this bag at all, and I think this one represents my first stud purchase in terms of the Louis Vuitton Empreinte leather. Usually Louis Vuitton Empreinte, I just love everything that they do, because because it is so luxurious and beautiful looking, but also so crazy hard wearing too. And that combination I just absolutely love. This bag though was just way too small, and I have mentioned the fact that I didn't altogether love this bag way earlier on in the year. I got a bunch of comments saying it's not meant to be used as like a small bag, it's meant to literally be a wallet, which I do get, but I also do feel like it is kind of meant to be used as a mini bag too. You do have that great little pouch, which I do really like, but on the inside it's not lined in leather, it's just fabric, which I don't mind ever because it makes for a lighter bag. But this is tiny, as in I'm a pretty good packer when it comes to small bags, but if you want to fit in all your essentials and then take anything out, it's a real challenge because inevitably things just kind of get moved around, and unless you pack it completely perfectly, I was not able to fit in everything that I needed. So I ended up just carrying my phone with me in my hand because I literally just couldn't fit it in along with everything else, which was really only, you know, a few cards, a bit of cash, my sunglasses, and maybe a lip product and some keys. But altogether it was just too much for this bag. So whilst it worked initially when, you know, I would perfectly place anything, when you're out and about that doesn't really happen. You know, you grab things quickly, you put things back in, and I just wouldn't be able to close this bag, and I certainly wasn't able to use it with this little pouch. So for me, just way too small. Like, I would love it if it was just a little bit bigger. I certainly love the look. I think it's really, really elegant, but this was just far too tiny for me to make work, unfortunately. And last but not least is the Prada re-edition, and I would say that this is the one style where I don't actually think that there's anything wrong with it. I just don't think it was a particularly good buy for me. I do love the fact that it is super versatile. You know, you can wear it with the shorter chain. You can also wear it with the kind of canvas strap. So very versatile. You can really change up the look according to what you feel like, what you're wearing that day. But I just didn't reach for this, and I wish I could tell you why. So maybe this is like a bit of a redundant entry in this video because, you know, the other bags, I really had reasons why I didn't really feel like it worked, whereas this, you know, whenever I want to reach for it, I just end up going for something else. You know, the capacity isn't really that big. The opening isn't huge either, so it isn't like super seamless to get in and out of, but not so much that it's a huge deal by any means. But yeah, it's just not a bag which I was really super excited to use all the time. And for that reason, definitely just a bit of a disappointment. So certainly, like, if you love the style and you know this kind of style of bag works for you, I can't really say anything bad about it, but for me, I just have other bags which I love so much more. So I'm probably going to part ways with this one as well, but yeah, one of those things which unfortunately just didn't work out. So that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions for me, then leave me a comment down below and let me know if you have any hugely successful or disappointing purchases yourself in the comment section, especially if you have any successful bag purchases which you've been loving at the moment. I am getting so excited about the new bag arrivals. There is just so much good stuff at the moment. So if you have any bag styles that you are loving, please let me know in the comment section. I would love to read about it. If you enjoyed the video, please do give us a thumbs up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.